Welcome to the Deep Dive Books channel, where we hope you find something valuable every day.
In previous videos, we quantitatively demonstrated that the reason China's national income is lower than that of developed countries is due to lower productivity levels. Today, I want to explain that China's low productivity is a result of insufficient innovation capacity. This is not an immediately obvious conclusion. Some may think that, even if China's innovation capacity is lacking, our learning ability is strong. If developed countries have advanced technologies, we can quickly learn them. Wouldn't that mean our productivity is advanced as well? That's not the case. First, in recent years, events like the chip wars and technological restrictions have shown that developed countries are no longer willing to let China learn their advanced technologies. Secondly, even if China is particularly good at imitation, able to produce something almost as good within a year of the US introducing new technology, our productivity gap wouldn't just be a little behind. We would fall far behind. This is because the profit margins for scaling from 1 to n and creating from 0 to 1 are vastly different. The kind of innovation we are familiar with involves imitation, following, improving, and scaling from 1 to n. It addresses the problem of developed countries have it, so we must have it too. It's a painful situation when developed countries have something that China doesn't. They can simply refuse to sell it to us, use it to pressure us, or demand a price that we have no choice but to accept. The nightmare of being technologically pressured has loomed over the Chinese psyche for a long time. Generations of scientists have worked tirelessly with the aim of breaking the Western blockade and filling the national gap. The goal has been to establish a complete and independent modern industrial system. If others have it, we must have it too. To a large extent, China has achieved this, and has done so impressively. China now possesses the most complete industrial system in the world. China has fully leveraged its large market, negotiated for technology transfers from developed countries, and after absorbing, digesting, and enhancing these technologies, has even surpassed the original creators. The world's top high-speed rail technology initially belonged to Siemens of Germany, Japan's Shinkansen, and Alstom of France. However, each of these companies had small markets. China assimilated the technologies and developed its own brand of China high-speed rail. Similarly, the third-generation nuclear power technology, AP1000, was developed by Westinghouse in the US, but due to policy restrictions, the company had no opportunity to build reactors. As a result, China took over, built new nuclear power plants, while making improvements, developed its own standards, and exported them worldwide. The most important feature of this type of innovation is that it has a clear direction. Others have already pointed out the technological path. While we may not know all the specifics, and must conduct our own experiments, and adjust parameters, we are very certain that this path is viable. Since the path is clear, we can confidently pour in resources and manpower. This kind of innovation is like solving problems from a textbook. Yes, we don't know the answer yet, but we know that, if we study the book hard enough, we will find the solution. Once China succeeds in a particular field, and achieves domestic substitution, developed countries are left with little to offer. China can take advantage of its large market, comprehensive supply chains, and low-cost advantages to make products so cheap that they become unprofitable for developed countries. This has earned China the title of developed countries' industrial crusher. As the saying goes, follow others' path, leaving them no path to follow. All of this is excellent. I believe it is entirely justified. It is the people's path, and Chinese manufacturing is a blessing to the world's poor. But this model of innovation is the mindset of a developing country. China cannot become a developed country, relying solely on this approach. Because it's not profitable. The model that developed countries excel at is creating from 0 to 1. Innovation that says, no one else has this, but now I will. When Apple first introduced the iPhone, other phone manufacturers thought it was an impossible product. Even today, Apple retains exclusive technology, design, branding, and a community that competitors cannot replicate. This allows Apple to charge a price that competitors wouldn't dare to ask, but that consumers willingly pay. This is the advantage of being a leader. Apple can then use this profit to comfortably pursue more advanced innovations. When others have something, and you don't, you are forced to accept their high price. This is the situation of a poor country. When both you and others have something, you can negotiate prices, and potentially make it cheaper. This is China's current situation. When others don't have something, and you do, you can demand a high price. This is the situation of developed countries. Getting something others don't have, and reaping the leader's advantage, is the true value of innovation. Saying that, mastering core technologies allows you to make high-end products as cheap as vegetables. Engaging in price wars won't make you a developed country. In fact, the very notion of mastering core technologies is flawed. It assumes that someone else has already created the technology, and you are trying to learn it. If this were a company learning from someone else, and then undercutting them in price, is not truly an innovative company. Having a low profit margin is shameful. Affordable and plentiful does not describe a high-end brand. Today, Chinese tech companies, including those considered the most innovative internet companies, have a notorious 996 overtime culture, and the phenomenon where employees struggle to find work after the age of 35. It feels like everyone is running on a hamster wheel. On one hand, this is because, despite having trained many science and engineering talents, China currently offers too few high-tech jobs, resulting in fierce competition. On the other hand, it's a characteristic of low-level competition. U.S. tech companies don't have this involution culture. While some companies in Silicon Valley may also have overtime, it doesn't interfere with weekends or holidays. Companies like Netflix even allow employees to take unlimited vacation time and encourage extended breaks. If you're engaged in innovation work, you need rest and frequent mental shifts. Silicon Valley companies don't just retain employees over 35, but also incentivize them with stock options and bonuses to prevent them from leaving. These people are experts who have been deeply immersed in their fields for years and are familiar with the technology. Once they leave, it's hard to find a replacement. Why such a difference? Because low-level work is replaceable, while high-level work is not. When your work is replaceable, your only advantage is being cheaper. Younger, more hardworking, and more compliant, in essence, cheaper. When your work is irreplaceable, you have the confidence to set your own price, avoid constant anxiety, and take your time to do things right. All major Silicon Valley companies have something unique to offer, and that uniqueness doesn't necessarily have to be a core technology. It can be any form of core competency. Take streaming services as an example. What core technology does Disney have? What core technology does HBO have? Why can they survive in the face of competition from Netflix? The answer is that they possess deep expertise in filmmaking. Disney has iconic, animated characters and stories that have deeply resonated with people for years. HBO excels at creating groundbreaking TV shows that are ahead of the industry. Both have been deeply involved in the film industry for years, developing their unique styles, with distinctive IPs and production systems. These are also forms of innovation, and they are abilities that others cannot replicate. In contrast, Chinese companies like Tencent, iQIYI, and Youku are also producing streaming content, but they were established too recently, and lack distinctive features. They all believe that, what one can do, the others can too, resulting in severe imitative competition. In such a situation, they are forced to compete for expensive celebrity endorsements on the one hand, while being reluctant to charge users high prices on the other, leading to difficult business conditions. High-level competition is, gentlemen united but different. Not as fierce, because everyone has their own unique skills, and a sense of security, allowing for mutual complementarity and cooperation. Low-level competition is, petty people united but not harmonious. Because everyone's skills are about the same, they have no choice but to engage in ugly price wars. As a result, gentlemen remain calm, while petty people are constantly anxious. China urgently needs 0 to 1 innovation, real innovation. So, how is China's innovation capacity faring? If we look at the number of patents granted, research papers published, and science and engineering talent trained, China is now the world's top innovator. In 2018, China was granted 77,843 invention patents, more than 10 times the number of the US, 7,625. Between 2017 and 2019, China averaged 40,219 high-impact research papers per year, ahead of the US, 37,124, and more than 10 times the number of Japan, 3,787. In the top 1% most cited papers, China had 4,046, just slightly behind the US, 4,413, but 12 times that of Japan, 322. In 2019, China produced 49,498 science and engineering PhDs, compared to 33,759 in the US. It is estimated that, by 2025, China will be producing twice as many PhDs in these fields as the US. However, China's strengths so far lie mainly in quantity, not quality. In 2020, Chinese scientists contributed to 415 papers published in CNS, accounting for 18% of the total, ranking fourth among all countries, and lagging significantly behind the US, 68%. If we look only at the first affiliation of the authors, China's share is less than 5%. When it comes to major breakthroughs that can lead research directions, gain broad attention from peers, and be reported by mainstream media, such instances are even rarer in China. The only Nobel Prize in Science awarded to China was based on Tu Youyou's work from 1969. As of now, China has not produced scientific discoveries or technological innovations that change people's perceptions, nor has it generated a widely recognized new theory or a world-class star scientist. China has the most people participating in innovation globally, and has the most candidates entering competitions. However, as competitions advance to higher stages, the proportion of Chinese participants decreases. This generation of Chinese people has a deep obsession with innovation, just as parents hope for their children to succeed. I hope today's content can help us recognize the strengths and shortcomings of China's innovation system.
If you feel there is value in this, please like, subscribe to this channel, and leave your thoughts or suggestions in the comments section. Let's grow together and read more good books.